Man, something really exciting. A few really exciting things happened for the Gandee Show this week, and I want to share it with you guys today. First of all, we are almost at 500 subscribers already, and I just feel like this is just happening with light speed. I feel like I just started, I feel like I just did my first episode, and I had under 100 subscribers. So I want to start off by just thanking everybody for your incredible support. And secondly, I received my first recovery testimony submission. This might not sound like a big deal to some people, but it's a really big deal to me because this was part of my original vision for the show. My goal wasn't to just talk at people. I wanted to create a platform where people would feel comfortable enough to share their testimony with people who are struggling. And I think it's really important. I think it's so important. Our testimonies are so important because it shows people that, hey, man, look, if that person could overcome what I'm going through right now, then maybe I have a chance to overcome it. And I know that was one of the most pivotal moments in my recovery was the first time I heard somebody tell my story. And when I say my story, I just mean that, I heard a stranger tell a story that was so similar to mine that I was like freaked out a little bit. I was like, wow. But what it did was it opened my mind and it softened my heart. And it gave me hope. So when I was originally coming up with the idea for the Gandee Show, this was a pivotal part of it. This was a huge part of it. I wanted to create a space where people would feel safe enough and comfortable enough to let me share their testimony and talk about how I relate to it. So, exciting stuff coming up within the next week or so. We're going to be adding a new element to the Gandee Show. I'm going to, as people start sending me their stories and I start to gain some more momentum with that, we're going to start uploading twice a week. We're probably going to do our normal thing on Sundays like we have been, but I'm going to pick a day in the middle of the week, probably Wednesday, and we're going to start telling stories. So I'm excited about this. One thing that addiction does better than almost anything else is isolate people. I know that when I was in active addiction, I was a hermit. I isolated myself from anybody that wasn't immediately in my circle of people who used. And that's also an important thing that I need to pay attention to in sobrieties because, I know that if I start to isolate myself, that's not good. Then that's a sign of a potential relapse if I start isolating myself. If I start isolating myself from my recovery circle and my community and the people that I have in my circle, then that is a dangerous sign of a relapse. So again, one of the things that addiction does better than almost anything else is isolate people, and it convinces us that we are the only ones struggling like this, or it convinces us that nobody would understand what we're going through. A lot of people suffer with this, and I was definitely one of these people. I carried around so much shame about my past that honestly, I intended to stay silent about it for the rest of my life. The truth is there are millions of people out there who have walked through addiction, relapse, recovery, redemption, all of it. And when someone is brave enough and vulnerable enough to share their story, something powerful happens. Because the person listening just might think, wait a minute, that sounds like my life. I know that's what happened to me. And suddenly I realized that I'm not alone. I am not alone. I do not have to figure this out by myself. Listen, man, that is hope is one of the most powerful things on the planet. And I don't know about you, but the role I played in my family, I had to fix it. I had to figure it out. And I understand, I learned through counseling that stems from trauma of having custody of my brother when I was very young and not having very much help. Feeling like, well, I got to figure this out. If I don't do this, nobody will, right? That creates trauma. There's actually a lot of psychology behind why sharing our testimonies is so powerful. Studies have shown that when people write about their life experiences, especially difficult ones, it can improve mental health, reduce stress, and even help people, especially help people process trauma. This is something that psychologists call expressive writing. And what it does is it helps people organize their thoughts. It helps people understand their past and then begin to see their life in a new way. And instead of just thinking about the pain, you're able to start seeing the growth that's come from it. And especially in recovery, this can be incredibly important, okay? Because a lot of us, we have our identity for years have been wrapped up in addiction. I know for me, I built my entire identity around substance use. Seriously, my entire everything revolved around it. And it started off fun, like, I started smoking when I was 12, and before I knew it, it was my entire identity. It was my entire identity. I did nothing without that being at the very center of everything I did. I mean everything. I couldn't go anywhere without planning around my habit. I remember the first and the only vacation that we went on as a family before my family split up. I was 16 years old. My brother was 6. And we went to Florida for 2 weeks. At the time, we told my little brother that we were going to Florida for his birthday. But really, we were going down there to visit my great-grandma one more time because we knew we weren't going to see her again before she passed. So, what did I have to do before we were gone for 2 weeks? Well, of course, I had to go get a big old bag of weed. You know what I mean? Because why wouldn't I? So, to make a long story short, I'll get into this story one day, but to make a long story short, my family's sitting in the driveway, ready to go, car packed up, and I'm 20 minutes away, and they're calling me, "Where are you at? We're going to leave without you." Well, I had to go get what I needed to get before I could go on vacation, right? Because, of course, I can't just go and have a vacation, something I never thought we would do as a family. I had to make everything about my addiction. And I thought I was so smart too, okay? I hit it. I had taken a brand new Old Spice deodorant stick, and I took the deodorant, I screwed the deodorant stick all the way out, and I jammed the bag down into the deodorant stick. And then I put the plastic lid that's on it, like the thing that's on it when it's still new, and then I put the cap back on it. And the whole time we're driving, I'm paranoid, thinking we're going to get pulled over by the cops, they're going to find it, and my family's going to get arrested, or I'm going to get in trouble. Nothing like that happened. But what did end up happening was pretty messed up. We ended up getting down there very late at night, and my dad is also an addict, and he must have ran out of whatever he had brought with him, because when we got down there, he waited for my mom to go inside, and he cornered me at the back of the truck because I was helping carry everything in. So my dad waited until my mom took my little brother in the house, cornered me, and he said, "Where's it at?" And I'm like, "Where's what at?" And I knew darn well what he was talking about. And he's like, "Look, we can do this the easy way or the hard way. The easy way is you tell me where it's at, and maybe I won't take it all. The hard way is I smash all your stuff until I find it." And the thing about my dad is I believed him. I knew he would do that. So I had a decision to make. And what I told myself, I gave it to him. And what did he do? He took the whole bag and didn't say a word to me. I was livid. I was so mad. I was so mad. In my head, my dad just ruined my whole vacation. That was it for me. Man, me and my dad never got along. him and I, he was real cool to me until I started learning how to talk. And then once I could talk, my mom used to trick me into telling on him for smoking around me as a baby. And he stopped hanging out with me. And then the next time we had anything in common was when I was 16 years old and we both smoked. That's what we had in common. And regardless on the relationship we had, I still looked up to him. He was my dad. And I would do anything to get his approval. So the next day, I'm sitting on my great-grandma had this white wicker couch in her sunroom, and I'm sitting on this couch waiting to get in the bathroom because my dad would always take an hour in the bathroom. He finally comes out, and he drops a joint on my lap of my own stuff, and I remember the heavens opened up, and that thing fell in slow motion, man. I heard the angels singing, and it was just an array of light. This joint fell down in my lap. Man, that was like I was on top of the world. That was the coolest thing in my head that could have ever happened to me. Okay? And, yeah. So that's just an example. This is just I'm telling you, this is just a small example of how my entire identity was built around my substance, okay? When our entire identity is built around our addiction, we start believing things like, I'm a screw up, or I've ruined my life and I'm never going to change. And because we hear that from a lot of people as well. But when you start telling your story or even writing it down, something interesting starts to happen, okay? You start to realize that you have survived things that should have destroyed you. You overcame something that once controlled your entire life. And that begins to change the way that you see yourself. When I received my first testimony submission, I just want to say something to the person who sent it. Thank you. Thank you so much. You have no idea how your story might save somebody's life. Having the courage to share your story is not easy. And I know this from personal lived experience. But the reality is this. You never know who might hear your story and think, wow, if they made it through this, then maybe I can too. And like I said earlier, hope is one of the most powerful things on this planet and the next. I want to start doing this more on The Gandee Show. I want this to become a platform where people can share their experiences, their struggles, their victories, and everything in between. So if you've been through addiction, if you are currently in recovery, if you are still fighting that battle right now, I need you to know that your story matters more than you may know. There is someone out there right now that can hear your story and realize that they are not alone anymore. So if you feel comfortable sharing your testimony, you can please, I would be honored to share your story. You can email it to thegandeeshow@gmail.com. You can write it out like a testimony. You can talk about your journey and what recovery has looked like for you and what you're struggling with. And as more of these testimonies start to come in, we're going to pick a day and start sharing them as a regular occurrence. We're going to start, I'm thinking Wednesdays, but we're going to pick a day and we're going to start sharing these. This is going to become a regular part of the show. So I want to thank you in advance for anybody that has the courage to stand up and tell their story. Because listen, steel sharpens steel, and we all have something to learn from each other. If you're watching this right now and you're struggling, I need you to know something. Your past does not define your future. Your past does not define your future. I am a living, breathing, walking example of that. I thought I was going to be dead in a ditch somewhere. I was homeless, living in a tent, walking 7 miles one way every day just so I didn't have to be sick. If you would have told me then that I'd be where I'm at now, I would have never believed you. The mistakes you've made, the things that you regret, and the years that you feel like you have lost, none of that has to be the end of your story. I promise you. The reason why I'm able to speak with conviction is because I know I believe what I'm telling you. I know it's true. Sometimes these things might actually be the beginning of the most important chapter of your life. And who knows, man? Who knows? One day your story might be the thing that helps somebody else find their way out. I want to thank you for watching the Gandee Show. And before I go, I just want to ask you, what is one lesson that your journey has taught you? If you knew back then what you knew now, things would have been different for you. Tell me in the comments, what is one lesson your journey has taught you that's made you a better person today? Again, thank you for watching the Gandee Show. I need to remind you, look at me, man. Recovery is possible, okay? Recovery is possible. Your past does not define your future. I love you. I'm out.